I remember this. You want to hear this story? It's actually really fucking wholesome. So I went to class. I remember it was math class. So I was attending math class and I had this teacher, and she is a Filipino teacher. Very, very like strict. You know, a lot of students were very scared of her because she was very fucking strict. Like she's like, dress code, this. Like your tie is not up properly. Go to the, like, she is like the scary teacher. So a lot of students would try and like not fight with her. But she's really like, I'll say this, spoiler, she is nice, but everyone was really scared of her, right? So I was walking into math class and I sat down and the teacher came. Let's just call her Mrs. A. So Mrs. A came in and she was like, all right, be quiet, everybody, blah, 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 blah. Like she's always very like strict, right? So she's like, be quiet. No. Like she would call you stupid too. She's like, answer this question. And if you answer it wrong, you're like, she's like, are you stupid? Did you not listen? Did you not read? Did you not study? Like she's that kind of teacher. And then she was looking around the class and she saw me. At that time, I had like mid-length hair. So my hair was like under my shoulder length. But I had a dress code, right? So any hair that is longer than your shoulder, you need to tie it up. And my hair was like a little bit lower than my shoulder. So I remember Mrs. A was like, Michi, tie your hair. And I was like, okay. So then I tied it into a ponytail the best I can. And it's like, I had a side hair. So you know when all I did was just like tie it on the back and it looks really, really messy, right? But I didn't know how to tie my hair. And I remember she stopped and she was teaching. She's like, okay guys, take your book out, blah, blah, blah. And she turned around. She saw me and she's like, Michi, tie your hair neatly. And I'm like, okay. So then I undo it and I tied it again. And she looked at me and she's like, are you purposely trying to be stupid? I said, tie your hair neatly. And I'm like, this is neat. And no one had the balls to talk back to her. But I was so fucking confused because I was like, what? I thought when she said neatly, she meant like a bit higher. So I tied it a bit higher. And I was like, this is neat. And she's like, are you stupid? Do you not know how to tie hair? And I was like, actually, I don't. I said it that way. I was like, actually, I don't know how to tie my hair, Miss A. And she's like, do you want to come up to class and have me tie your hair for you in front of everyone? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because here's the thing, right? I think that was the time she realized that I am not an asshole. I just never really had anyone teach me these things. So she was like, do you want to come up and have me tie your hair in front of everyone? And I'm like, yeah, sure. She's like, okay, come up here then. So I took my chair and I walked to the front of the class. I put my chair down in front of everyone. I put it down. I sat down. And she's like, you want me to teach you how to tie your hair? And I was like, oh, yes, please. And she did. She spent like 5 minutes. Like I remembered this so distinctly. She stopped. Like her voice was like that. She was like, you want me to teach you? I was like, oh, yes, please. And she was like, oh, okay. So here's what you do. Okay, you lean back, you brush your hair back, and then you tie it like this. This way your hair is like flatter and it's not like jutting out and it's not messy and it doesn't cover your vision. So that's how you do it. And I'm like, oh, like I remember she took out her mirror because she had like a pocket mirror. Oh my God, I remember every detail. She showed it to me. She showed me the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, I do look better. That was the first time I actually got to see my face. Because like my hair was very thick and messy and it always covers a lot of my face. That's also why I have a lot of acne. So it was the first time I saw my face like clearly. And she was like, see? And I was like, oh my God, thank you, Miss A. I actually really like it. I'll remember it. Thank you. Ever since then, I always tied my hair. And ever since then, Miss A would be like a mother figure to me. Like I remember I would be at lunch because at that time I couldn't afford a lot of good food. So I remember one time I was like at the cafeteria and I only bought a juice box and she's like, hey, eat something la. And I'm like, yeah, I'll eat it tomorrow. I only have like this much. And she's like, take your food, I pay. So then she has bought me food sometimes. One time she even bought me a book because she realized that the book I had was a photocopy. She bought me a book. She paid for some of my lunch. This is so embarrassing. She taught me how to tie my shoelaces nicely because I didn't know how to properly tie my shoes. I always just kind of tie it in a knot. She taught me how to tie it in a ribbon. Like she taught me everything because I remember she asked me, she was like, how do you not know these things? And I'm like, no one teaches me this. And she's like, does your mom or dad not teach you? I'm like, no, they're barely home. That is true. My parents would work early in the morning and then they would come home really late at night. Honestly, Miss A thought I was just being like a delinquent, right? But the moment she realized that I just didn't know any better, she became so sweet. Like, I think I just had to prove to her that I wasn't a delinquent. I'm just not thought. And she was like, what do you do at home? And I'm like, I take care of my brother, and then I do my homework, and I go lessons, and I sleep. That is true. Like, most of the time in the morning, I would spend most of my days, like, you know, taking care of my brother, making sure he's set for school. But no one really sat me down and taught me how to do hair or makeup or skincare. It was so nice. Like, I didn't know what face care was. I didn't know what hair care was. I didn't know any of that. So, like, she was genuinely the first person that taught me that, like, how to dress well. You know, I always wanted to dress well, just I didn't know how to do it. And you know what's crazy? Because of her, I became very, very invested into like looking good. And then I started being into fashion. And then it kind of led me to who I am now. So like Miss A genuinely changed a whole, like a big trajectory of my life. Like, keeping this in mind, right? Some people are like, Michi, why didn't you just Google it? At that time, Google wasn't really an accessible thing. I didn't have a computer at home. The only thing electronic we had was like a landline phone. So it wasn't like I could YouTube tutorial this shit. This was like, if you're not taught, you're not gonna know. So Google was there, but only like richer people could afford a computer. So I only had a landline, and eventually down the line, my parents got a fax machine, but that's kind of it. So we got a computer that could only print stuff, and it takes like 6 gajillion years to load up. It was one of those. So like, I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't even know how to braid hair. Like, I didn't know jack shit. She taught me everything. Like, Miss A taught me math and how to be a woman. Like, she was like, hey, take care of yourself, okay? Like, this is how you properly wear your skirts. Always wear pants under the skirts in case. This is how you properly button your clothes. This is how you properly wear a tie. This is how you properly do this. This is how you become a lady. And I felt really, really good. So I don't think she realized how much she impacted my life, honestly. Because if it wasn't for her, I would not know that until today. So like, she was really strict. And I remember a lot of my friends were like, Michi, how come you are so close to the strict teacher? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no clue. I swear she hated me. Like, she used to hate me a lot because I was very messy. But then the moment she realized, like, oh, I actually listen and I'm willing to learn, she became so gentle. Like, she became like genuinely a mother figure to me. She was also the one that recommended me for like multiple scholarships. So I appreciate her a lot. Like, I remembered, I was like, oh yeah, I'm planning on like continuing high school here, blah blah blah. I'm looking for these scholarships, and she recommended me for an international scholarship. And I was like, oh, thank you. Fuck. In my head, I was like, fuck, I have to learn so much. But you know, there's like these scholarships that you wouldn't really be able to get into without a recommendation. And she recommended me. She recommended me to the school board for competitions so I can actually get more scholarships. So she helped me a lot, and I really, really, really appreciate her. Without her, I probably wouldn't be where I am, because I would probably not be in school. So yeah, I don't know. I still remember her. That's why it's like, people are so sweet. Sometimes you think like, oh, this person is so scary and mean, but deep down, they are actually so gentle and sweet. They just want to be strict, you know, but they will care about you. You know, I think Miss A ended up leaving. So I didn't get to see her during high school, but during my educational years, I have like 3 teachers that really helped me a lot. It was like Miss A and my college. I have like one college person that helped me too. They kind of like not help me when it comes to school, but help me with life. You know what I mean? They taught really well. I learned a lot from them educationally, but the life aspect I remember more. Yeah, I really appreciate them. God, I miss them a lot. I had another teacher that was so sweet. I remember I had a hard time during this time. My family was going through a hard patch, right? So I'm not gonna get into detail about what we were going through, but my parents were not at friendly terms for a while. So when I got home, it's like a really, really hard, awkward moment. You know, it's like
sometimes
living under the roof with them is weird. And I remember during that time in my life, it was kind of hard. I remember I had to I invited my brother to play a lot because I didn't want my brother to hear all the arguments and stuff. So because of that, it kind of affected my educational stuff too, right? I couldn't focus. I thought I could, but I couldn't. So my grades were dropping. That was the first time I got like a B or a C ever. I'm always like an A student. So like, I remember I started getting B's and C's, and I was so frustrated because keep in mind, it's not that I just want to be good. I have a scholarship that I need to upkeep, and I cannot have my average score be low. So I was like really scared. And I remember there's this one teacher, she's always been really nice to me, but instead of scolding me, she was like she offered to give me extra lessons. So after school, I would stay for like 2 more hours to get like extra lessons from her. Like she taught me not just like the lessons, but she was like, "Oh, if you ever want to do something like this, I recommend." Like she taught me how to like this is so stupid. She told me that I should always wear like a helmet because I used a bike at that time, and she was like, "Oh, always wear a helmet." I never wore a helmet because we didn't have one. So she bought me a helmet one time, and she was like, "Oh, does this fit? Okay, good. Take the helmet, take the helmet." And I remember she was a Singaporean teacher, I think. Or maybe she wasn't. She was on a Singaporean accent. I don't remember. But she taught me a lot about how to talk to people as well. She was like, sometimes it's worth to be gentle with some people because you don't know what people are going through. Like, she gave me a lot of good, solid advice. Like, she taught me how to set boundaries as well. She's like, sometimes it's okay to say no to people. Sometimes there's just a way to say no to people. You don't have to be mean. You can just be nice. But setting boundaries are okay. Stuff like that. So I learned a lot from her too. There's a lot of these teachers that helped me a good amount. So like, I don't know. That's why I've always I look up to teachers, They do more than you think they do. Like sometimes you do encounter bad ones, but when you do find good ones, you remember them. You remember them forever. You want to know a wholesome continuation of that one? The second teacher, I was not Mrs. A. The second teacher, after high school, right? I left and I didn't really get to be in contact with anyone because I was really busy. And then I remembered a couple of years ago, we had a reunion. So some of my friends decided to do a reunion and I got invited. So I came and then the second teacher was there. Let's say Mrs. B, right? Mrs. B was the one that got me a helmet and she also offered to give me extra lessons. So Mrs. B was also there and we were all meeting up at this restaurant and I was really, really nervous. This was, I was already hypothetically streaming, but even though I didn't earn as much as I do now, I still earned a good amount, right? So like, I remember in the reunion, I was like, "Hi, Mrs. B, nice to meet you again. It's been so long, blah, blah, blah." And she was like asking me like, "Oh, how are you? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Oh, I'm already working now." And she's like, "What?" And everything like that. And I told her how much I'm making and that like, I have a roommate, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm making like this much." And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you because that's a good amount of money, right? For Indonesian standards, that is a good amount of money." And I was like, yeah, I'm very grateful, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, "Wow, I'm so proud. Look at you. Like you earned this much. You're so successful in life now. I can't wait to see how much more successful you get." And now I'm here. And now I'm earning so much more. I am so much happier and everything. And low-key, I have been considering like asking if there's any other reunion so I can update her. She was so proud. She was like, "You were the kid who didn't know how to use a helmet." You're like, "You didn't know how to use a helmet when I last met you. And look at you now. A functioning adult, I think." Oh, God, I'm gonna cry. I love them so much. They changed so much of my life, man. I didn't know how to take care of myself. I didn't know how to do jack shit. And then, yeah, they were so nice. They taught me how to feel very womanly, Like, that's why I keep saying, it's like, if you want to feel womanly, that is such a good feeling. No one should tell you otherwise, man. You feel so good. You feel so confident and fresh and beautiful. And they taught me how to feel beautiful. And I appreciate that a lot. So, oh, I missed them. I'm gonna cry. I missed them so much.